Karen, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Young,
Here.
Commissioner Batty,
Here.
Commissioner Miller,
Here.
Commissioner Keen,
Here.
and Commissioner Brink,
Here.
and Chair Gerard.
Here. I'd ask if you're able to please stand and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance, which is right over, the flag is right over Donovan's shoulder. I pledge allegiance
To the flag
of
the United States of
America,
and to the republic
Republic
for which it stands,
stands,
one
one
nation,
nation,
under God,
nation,
Indivisible.
God,
with liberty and
indivisible,
justice for all.
with liberty and justice for all.
Someday we will all be on the same words, but we'll see when that day happens. Next up on the agenda, the chair is looking for a motion to approve the agenda. Susan?
Mr. Chair, I so move.
Second.
And we have a move and a second. Karen, would you take the roll, please?
Commissioner Young,
Aye.
Commissioner Batty,
Here.
It looks like Karen is having a bit of difficulty, so the chair
Is it
will take
me?
the roll.
yep,
So Commissioner Miller,
Aye.
Commissioner Keen,
Aye.
Commissioner Batty,
Aye.
Commissioner Brink,
Aye.
Commissioner Young,
Aye.
Chair Gerard votes aye. The agenda is approved. Chair is looking for a motion to approve the Planning Commission meeting minutes from March 24th, 2021. I have a motion. Dennis?
So moved.
We have a motion, a second? I'll second. All right, so we have a motion by Dennis, a second by Paul. Any discussion on the motion? Corrections, changes to the minutes? Hearing no one, Karen, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Young,
Aye.
Commissioner Batty,
Aye.
Commissioner Miller,
Aye.
Commissioner Keen,
Aye.
Commissioner Brink,
Aye.
and Chair Gerard.
Aye. Next on the agenda is a common bond Fitzgerald Flats Apartments site plan review. Donovan, I assume you're kicking us off on this?
Indeed, I am. I'd like to present the site plan review for Fitzgerald's Flats, which is a 53-unit apartment building that Common Bond Communities has proposed for a site within the Headwaters Village area. You're familiar, the Planning Commission is familiar with this property since it was the subject of a concept plan on this site last summer. And in that instance, it was also part of a PUD amendment to allow for a greater density and also a greater maximum height for apartment buildings within the Headwaters PUD area. And so this before you now is a more, and also there was a zoning map amendment to amend the zoning map for this to be designated MU2 general mixed use. This, what you have before you tonight is the site plan review that all structure, all buildings within the Headwaters PUD need to undergo. And what we'll see here, and I'll share my screen, is the more detailed version from what you saw last summer, which of course was the concept plan. Also like to welcome Len Pratt and Sally Rabin to the meeting tonight, who represent this application. Sally is with Common Bond Communities. And sharing my screen, we see the, here's the more illustrative plan, which shows, Fitzgerald Trail with the Headwaters Service Center on the other side of it. To be built, Headwaters Boulevard is on the southwest, west southwest, and that is where the primary access is from. A single access to the apartment building, to the parking lot, and you'll see the stormwater ponding facility on this eastern southeastern side, as well as a dog park, a amenity for a kind of a children's playground, and a little, I believe it's a little patio area for residents. It's a 4-story building, 53 units, as was proposed last summer. The access is both, pedestrian from the through a sidewalk to be constructed from the rear as well as the front. There is a short, small patio area off a community room in the front. In that staff memo, I thought I'd read 8 feet of 8-foot fence surrounding it. I correct myself. It's 6 feet, and that is in a front yard. And I do believe that's a PUD flexibility that's reasonable, given it allows a certain privacy for the community area. Though perhaps that fence is removed. I didn't see in the plans, but I believe Nick might have a update. Nick, the architect, might have an update on that. Nick Conniff is also, thought he was earlier on, also with us. Getting a little more into a little more detail with the parking. Given the flexibilities granted to affordable housing within the zoning code, they'd like to take advantage of that and offer 1.8 spaces per unit. That's below the 2.1 required in the zoning code, and not have any enclosed spaces. And I believe this is pretty similar to what the Headwaters Landing 1 building is, Headwaters Landing building, which this is pretty similar to. And the fire chief has reviewed this and recommended a fire hydrant off that. Let me go back to the other luster, off this southeast corner of the building, as well as their other area fire hydrants to serve the other side of the building in case of emergency. This site is also within the airport zoning, within the Zone A, and the city's airport zoner did a review and found that the height of the building, which is approximately 52 feet at that midpoint of the sloped roof, is compliant with airport zoning. And so there's no issue there. Also, as part of this site plan, the project team is filing the correct documents. I expect they will file the correct documents with FAA regarding that for that type of construction near an airport. There is, let me jump over to the just some basic elevation drawings. You can see, the mix of materials, horizontal and vertical architectural details, and fenestration and window coverage, does meet the minimum design standards. Here's a little more detail of that patio area, the playground, dog walking area. And, part of this project is building that constructing a section of Headwaters Boulevard, actually completing it. And that'll be required as part of the project. Much of the city engineers' comments do relate to design standards to meet, city engineering standards for that road. And there is a Parkland dedication fee for apartment buildings. And that's going to go before the Parks, Trails and Lakes Commission on April 20th. Since there was, with the original development, some of that fee was paid for a commercial site, there was a little bit of a rebate, but the project will still need to pay the Parkland dedication fee. As far as the lighting, landscaping, it does appear to be code compliant to meet the standards. No signage is proposed at this time and this is similar to how we did the Headwaters Landing building. If a future monument sign is proposed, it'll be required to be in a code compliant place and area, sign area, and that'll be administratively reviewed and approved. And the staff recommendation is for the Planning Commission to approve the Fitzgerald Flats site plan with a series of nine conditions. And also the granting the PUD, those flexibilities mentioned with the I mentioned with the parking supply, as well as a flexibility allowing 24% one-bedroom units for this building. And with that, I'm happy to take any questions from the Planning Commission.
Anyone have questions? Mike?
Yeah, Donovan, I had written in my notes here, the building's going to be 60 feet tall at the roof ridge line, but you just mentioned 52 feet. So is it 52 or is it 60? Because we got, the airport there has a 73-foot limit.
Yeah, certainly.
If there's going to be an elevator tower in there or something, I was just kind of throwing that out there.
Yeah, so the full plans were given to the airport zoner, Silas, from Bolton and Mank. And he did review it with all the, the rooftop units, whatever is going to be on the roof. And you're right. Actually, with Headwaters Landing, they had to adjust the site due to the elevator cab up there. What I'm referring to as far as that 52-foot height is how the zoning code defines height, which is the midpoint of a sloped roof. So that's not the ridge line. So it's kind of, sounds like I'm contradicting myself, but it's really using two types of measurement. But the real concern is the airport zoning height, and this building is compliant with that.
I wasn't sure if there was a change in the plans and we just didn't get it yet, or something like that. The trash enclosure inside, I noticed that they have 2 parking spots right in front of the trash enclosure where it comes out of the building. That's just if they have a problem, I guess that's their problem, but I did notice that in the prints.
Yeah, that's an operational thing. I think that perhaps, Sally can speak to that when she has her chance to speak.
And then my last one was the parking, the 1.8 ratio compared to our normal 2.1 ratio. So is that
Yeah, so far, I haven't heard complaints from the Headwaters Landing project, which I assume it's pretty similar as far as that parking ratio. But I believe the project team can speak to that one.
Other questions for Donovan? Dennis?
So I just want to make sure I had all of the PUD variation things. One of them is the parking. Second one was no covered parking. What, are there any other,
Yeah, so the
since you're
code,
not listing those as conditions, I just want to make sure I knew what they were here.
yeah, no, I did list a number 5 as far as the building may consist of 24% one-bedroom units. That's a little bit, that's, 4 percentage points above the 20% the zoning code allows otherwise.
So you mentioned 5. So what are,
No, I said it's number 5 on the conditions list.
oh,
But
but that is listed as a condition, but you mentioned some other things that you said weren't as conditions. I was just kind of curious about, or maybe I misunderstood you.
yeah, what happened last summer was that they actually amended the PUD to change things that might have otherwise been conditions, but I think, it allowed a little more certainty, and
Okay, and so,
that's related to the height and density. Yeah.
so I should have done my homework to see what those were, but those are not listed as conditions now. None of those things are listed as conditions now.
Correct, because they're just part of the regulatory framework.
So one of them is the parking. One of them is no covered parking. The building height. Is that one? Okay,
No,
what,
no, that's baked into the PUD standards now.
we can move on.
Susan?
Yeah, I do have an issue with the parking. Since you do have, thank you, 2 and 3 bedroom units, which planning commission knows is a big deal for me. Folks are going to want to have friends over, and where Donovan has the applicant said that they will handle overflow parking or friends and relatives parking.
The site does have public streets surrounding it. And, there is overnight parking except for the wintertime. I think that is what one function of public streets is parking for, those temporary guests.
Do we allow parking on the boulevards and larger than collector streets? That's essentially an arterial.
Well, there's parking cutouts constructed.
Okay.
I can bring up the site plan if you want, because it's meant to be the commercial district, and in the future, it may be more of a consideration with congestion, hopefully if there's that kind of congestion. And of course, there is parking, a short walk away at the service center and the YMCA, ample parking.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, other questions for Donovan? Donovan, I have one on the road, Headwaters Boulevard. Will Common Bond be constructing that road, or is the city constructing that road? Common Bond, and then they turn it over to the city. I assume it's going to be a city road when it's finished.
Correct. Yes. The latter. So the Common Bond will construct it and then dedicate to the city for public use, along with the sidewalks.
Thank you. Other questions for Kevin?
Donovan, you mentioned a 6-foot privacy fence along Fitzgerald, looks like Trail North. Is that the front side of the building?
That is the front side. And perhaps, I believe that, in conversation or email, I believe it was today, Nick, the architect, mentioned that maybe that was just simply landscaping now, Nick? Is that the case?
Hi, Donovan. Yes. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So I think you saw an earlier drawing, there's a small concrete patio shown at the back, and that in one version had a 6-foot tall fence around it. The owner has since decided to delete that, so it's not actually in the submission. And it was, even when it was considered, it was just around that small patio area.
So the fence that I see in the sketch is a iron railing fence. Is that the fence you're talking about? Around the dog park?
Exactly. The only fence left in the submission is around the dog park, and it is a 6-foot tall aluminum fence. Yep. And not a privacy. Yeah.
Okay, so it won't be along the front side of the building.
That's right.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and so
No
that
problem.
would be eliminating number 3 in the staff conditions.
Any other questions for Donovan? Mike? Mike?
Oh, speaking of fences, it said a 6-foot vinyl chain link fence. Now, is that like the rubberized chain link fence, or is it the one with the slots in it for privacy?
Yeah.
I don't think we've gotten that far yet. I think right now we were just thinking the black coated chain link at this point. Yep.
Okay.
Any other questions of Donovan? Hearing none for now, we will ask the applicant. I really don't know who's going to speak on behalf of the applicants. But I open it up to the applicants. Whoever would like to start, feel free, and welcome to the Planning Commission tonight.
Thank you very much. I'll speak for the applicant. I'm Sally Raban with Common Bond Communities. Thank you for having us here tonight. And Len Pratt, the current landowner, as Donovan said, is on as well. And then Nick, who is our architect. And then the other Sally Raban on here is my coworker, Asher. So you don't get confused. But there, he just changed his name. Very tech savvy. So yes, I just wanted to address a couple of comments that came up that Donovan touched on. The question about the trash enclosure, having the 2 handicap stalls right outside the trash enclosure, or the trash inside the building. Our intention is that the trash is inside the building. There'll be a keypad on the outside of the building that the trash collector will put in the code and then wheel the trash can out between the 2 handicap stalls. So that's why we have that crosshatch lining up with the curb cut, which lines up with the double doors to the trash room. So and then that also puts the handicap stalls right at the front entrance.
Thank you, Sally. I did not see that they were handicap spots. That's all. I just saw 2 car spots. Thank you.
I see. Yep. Yeah, and we'll make sure that those are designated handicap and that the poles to mark the stalls are not in the way of the trash collector to roll out the bin. Thought about that. So one other thing, I think that the parking came up, Susan addressed, and Nick, feel free to jump in here talking about ratio to headwaters 1. But yes, there is on-street parking along Fitzgerald Trail, and there will be on-street parking along our new road that, again, as Donovan said, we will construct as part of our project. And then I forget the term you use, give to the city. And then, so we are hoping that the parking we have on site, the parking along Fitzgerald Trail and along the new road is enough for our guests.
Anything else you would like to add this evening as part of your presentation? Or?
No, I'm just happy to be here. This is very exciting. And I know that this is like a phase 2, but we didn't want to name it Headwaters 2. So we went through trying to come up with a new name, and, Fitzgerald Flats just rolled off the tongue. So that's what we went with. But we're really excited about this.
Very good. Welcome. Susan, you had a question?
I'm just making sure that the applicant knows that for 4 weekends a year, that parking lot that's to the off of Fitzgerald Trail, that is a household hazardous waste event, and the county has that 4 times a year, and it is always packed. So that street next to the Washington County Service Center, Fitzgerald Trail, it's just royally packed. So having only 1 entrance and 1 exit may be a challenge for some of your folks.
You're talking one entrance and one exit into our parking lot, to our site?
Correct.
Yep.
I mean,
And initially we had the entrance at a different location, but in talking to Donovan and talking with the civil engineer at the city and the fire marshal, this entrance off of the new road was made more sense and was approved in a higher, the fire marshal liked it better for turning radius and access and safety getting in and out of the site. And then also not having residents, if they're exiting the site onto Fitzgerald Trail and they want to go east, to have to cross traffic traveling west. So we're thinking about that. We went back and forth for a while there, trying to figure out which would be the best way to get in and out of the site. So I appreciate you bringing that up, and we'll make sure our residents know that, and hopefully they can, go south and exit the site that way. Not have to take Fitzgerald Trail.
Any other questions for the applicant? Susan?
I just want to thank you all very much. I greatly appreciate the 2 and 3 bedroom units and the number of them. I think that's important for Forest Lake. We don't have very many 2 and 3 bedroom apartment rental opportunities for families in Forest Lake. So thank you very, very much for that.
Thank you. And I don't know if you guys know, but Headwaters Landing just north of it leased up much faster than we expected, like months ahead of what we expected during COVID. So that just shows the need in the community for this type of housing. So that's wonderful.
This is not a public hearing, but Karen or Donovan, do you know if we have anyone who wanted to speak to this application? We're usually pretty liberal in that.
Yeah, I don't have anybody. And I moved everyone that was waiting into the meeting. So.
Okay. Donovan, anyone at City Hall?
There's no one at City Hall, and I did not receive any kind of email or phone call course, comments about this project.
Thank you. Thank you both. Well, thank you, Sally, and your team. We'll bring this back now for further discussion and a motion by the Planning Commission. So Planning Commission members, what is your wishes? Kevin?
I think it's pretty straightforward. I would enter a motion. I'd like to make a motion for the approval of the Fitzgerald Flats site plan with the 8 conditions, eliminating condition number 3 for approval.
Second.
And a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? For those that don't have the recommendations in front of them, the number 3 is that we are striking is a 6-foot tall privacy fence is permitted in the front yard on the Fitzgerald Trail side of the building. This is what is now going to be landscaping, is our understanding. Is that correct, Sally? Okay. Any other discussion on the motion? Hearing none, Karen, would you take the roll, please?
Commissioner Young,
Aye.
Commissioner Batty,
Aye.
Commissioner Miller,
Aye.
Commissioner Keen,
Aye.
Commissioner Brink,
Aye.
Chair Gerard.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Welcome back, Common Bond, to Forest Lake. You guys do a great job, so we appreciate you being here, and we wish you all the best on your project. We are the final on this, so this does not go to the City Council unless someone raises an objection to our our answer tonight. So good luck. I think you'll be moving for short. When do you plan to break ground if all goes well?
This summer.
Excellent.
Yes.
Good luck on your project.
Thank you very much, everyone. Have a great evening.
You too.
Thank you.
All right. We have 2 more items. Items 7 and 8. They are both North Lakes Academy. They are split into 2 because North Lakes is a multi-campus facility, and so the first one is for the North Lakes Academy K through 8 at 4576 232nd Street. It's a continuous use permit amendment application. We will have an official public hearing to consider it and then consider the conditional use permit application. So we'll do that one first. The way this will work this evening is I assume Donovan will give a presentation on how the city understands the application. Planning Commission members will then ask any clarification questions to Donovan. After that, we will ask the applicant if they would like to speak and add anything. We may have some questions then for the applicants, and then we will move on to the public hearing, and I'll give some further direction for the public input at that point. So Donovan, I believe you're presenting.
Certainly. Thank you, Chair and members of the Planning Commission. I'd like to present the conditional use permit amendment for the North Lakes Academy K through 8 building located at 4576 232nd Street. This is the first amendment for this. This was approved by CUP through the Planning Commission in 2018. At that time, the conditions, permit conditions set a maximum of 600 student enrollment, 50 staff members, and 27 classrooms. Tonight, the request is which is part of a build out of the framing that was constructed earlier to add more grades, and this involves a increase of 38 students, requested increase of 38 students, 5 staff members, and 5 classrooms. Representing the application tonight from the project team are Cam Stotler, who is the executive director of NLA, Justin Fincher, project manager, and also Ku Vang, who I believe has been orphaned in the participant room or attendee room. Karen, if you could bring him in. With this, I will share my screen to kind of give you the overview. The school property is located on 232nd Street. This is basically north of the Cub Foods Shopping Center, west of I-35. The building, you may remember, is set back within the parcel. And we'll see here, and this is the same for both of these CUP applications this evening, is that no additional site improvements or changes are proposed with these. So it's simply changing, increasing the enrollment, faculty, and classrooms. And so we're not expanding, any more impacts that could, impact the neighbors as far as site improvements. Obviously, some increase in enrollment does increase some traffic to the site, and we'll talk further about that. But no exterior improvements here. The submittal does include a review of how the bus queuing and private vehicle queuing is for pickup and drop off. And in here it has the maximum number of, stacking and for both buses and cars, provide for that. And what we have is also some details as far as that build out. I believe that they intended to do this originally, but due to some budget concerns, they waited. And in this case, they waited and found out that they actually needed some additional, a CUP amendment to accommodate some additional growth. And so the conditions of the 2018 CUP are still in effect. There was a neighborhood meeting held for this on March 31st, was it, or April 1st? April 1st, I'm sorry. And there were no residents who did participate in that meeting. Though it was noticed to neighbors as well as this public hearing noticed, both by mailing and newspaper. Right now, the staff finds that within the findings of fact, that the proposed expansion, proposed use does not have a negative impact on adjacent lands or public facilities, or impact on negative impact on land values. And so at this point, staff does recommend Plan Commission approval of the conditional use permit amendment to increase the total enrollment to 638 students, permissible teachers to 55, and the number of classrooms to 32, with five conditions. And with that, I'm happy to take any questions from the Plan Commission.
Before I open it up to the planning commission here, Donovan, there's a typo in your background first paragraph. The address is wrong. You have it as 4567. It should be 4576.
Thank you.
And with that, I will open it up to the planning commission for any questions. I don't see anyone. All righty. Would the applicant like to add anything?
Yeah,
Sure. I can.
oh, go ahead, Justin.
I'll start maybe and then pass it over to you, Cam. So thank you, commissioners. My name is Justin Fincher. I'm with JB Vang. We're the development manager for North Lakes. So we've helped him complete this application that you're reviewing today with Donovan. And maybe just to reiterate one thing that Donovan said. So we did secure financing for the K-8 campus in 2018. And at that time, we were budgeting, or basically we were planning to complete this phase of the build out at a future date. So at that time, we basically just gray boxed the second floor, 10,000 square feet. So it remained unfinished because we did not have the financing for that portion. And so what you see today is basically the completion of that build out at the second floor. So that's what this application is about. And then also, just in terms of planning for that, it was planned for a future date, but given just kind of the success of NLA and the demand for their enrollment, we're here much sooner than we anticipated. So it's good news, I guess you could say. So I guess with that, Cam, if there's anything you'd like to add in terms of NLA and your guys' success.
Yeah, no, thank you for that. And good evening, everyone. Thank you for your time. As Justin said, we are before you because of what we think is a really good reason that the space is needed already to accommodate for more students and teachers in just a real quality way. So we're happy to entertain any questions you may have, but we're really excited about what this completion of the K-8 campus can do for us. One of the features we're really looking forward to is a real a big media space that we don't have currently. And it's been tough to get groups of students together. It's certainly been tough in this COVID era, but just in general as well, it's been tough to have the capacity to get students grouped together. So we're really excited what this build out can do for us.
Any questions of the applicant? I do have one. Maybe it's Donovan, maybe it's for the applicant. We kind of gloss over the parking, and I realize we're only adding probably 5 more drivers with the teachers and maybe a couple of students who graciously get a permit to drive there. Oh no, wait, this is the elementary. They shouldn't be driving. I take that back. Just the teachers. I assume that, and since Donovan, you moved through by that, I assume we have plenty of parking on site.
Yeah, it does meet the code requirements for parking, and I believe that's 3 spaces for every classroom. And Cam, has there been any issues with parking during the operation of the school thus far?
No, I could say on a daily basis for operations, our parking lot is about half full. right now with staff. Sorry. And the end of day parent pickup, the queuing for parent pickup, sorry, that's a 6-year-old in effect here. Thank you. The queuing for pickup doesn't come close yet to extending anywhere near 232nd Street. It's all held on the campus. It's all held within our parking lot. And so with this addition, we feel very strongly that that will continue to be the case, that all of the drop off and pickup remain on site.
Okay. Susan?
What about parent teacher conferences and then, 6th grade graduation and those kind of events where you do have folks at the school?
Yeah, so again, we haven't had many of those events just due to the pandemic. But again, the anticipation is that we do have the ability to queue cars. And if it were an event like that, we can actually queue them on both sides of our entrance and exit driveway. So we feel again that we can accommodate almost any event I can think of. There is one that we would do, a trunk or treat event, that because we use the parking lot to stage the cars, that has been a time where some traffic has gone on to 232nd Street, but that's the only event I can think of where I anticipate that being the case.
Any other questions of the applicant? Seeing none, this is a public hearing tonight. We ask that if you wish to speak to this, please, you need to state your name and address for the record. Add your comments for a couple of minutes to give us your viewpoint. The Planning Commission typically only listens to the comment. We don't have a conversation about it. We're interested in what you're thinking of it. So with that, I will officially open the public hearing. Karen, is there anyone waiting to speak?
Not on my end. I have no one, and I haven't received any letters to read into public comment either.
Donovan, is there anyone at City Hall?
There is nobody here at City Hall to speak.
Well, now we'll have the 30 seconds of silence in case someone shows up rapidly. And then we'll see what happens in the next few seconds here. If someone miraculously shows up.
Chairman Gerard, I do want to note that you're very up on current events because we've had a couple of different 10-year-olds driving around the metro area recently.
Yeah, most of them have to do a carjacking. So,
no, these were 10-year-olds that were decided to go for Cheerios.
Oh, that's right. All right, I'll ask one more time. Karen, is there anyone in the queue waiting to speak?
I have no one.
Donovan, has anyone entered City Hall?
No.
So with that, we will close the public hearing, bring it back to the Planning Commission for a decision. So, Planning Commission, what would you like to do? Susan?
Chairman Gerard, I move approval of the conditional use permit amendment with the attached 8 conditions. Or pardon me, with the 8 attached findings of fact and the 5 recommendations.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Is that you, Justin? I lost Justin. Justin, did you second that?
Yes, I did. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes. Thank you. We've had a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? Any discussion on the motion? Hearing nobody, Karen, would you take the vote, please?
Commissioner Young,
Aye.
Commissioner Batty,
Aye.
Commissioner Miller,
Aye.
Commissioner Keen,
Aye.
Commissioner Brink,
Aye.
and Chair Gerard.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. We'll move on to the second application by North Lakes Academy. This is for the upper school at 308 15th Street, the conditional use permit amendment application. Again, we'll hold another public hearing and we'll consider the conditional use permit application. So with that, we'll follow the same format as the last one. Donovan, you'll begin.
Thank you. Chair Gerard, members of the Planning Commission, I'd like to present the conditional use permit amendment for the North Lakes Academy Upper School located at 308 15th Street Southwest. This is also a amendment that relates to simply the number of students and teachers with no exterior alterations of the site. It is, was the North Lakes Academy and is proposed to continue. This time, newer and better. They have secured ownership of the building, so now they're able to basically gut the structure and do a build out that really does accommodate their needs as an educational institution. The proposed CUP amendment increases the student count by 28 students and sets a cap of 23 teachers, which is a new limit there. And this is, amending the 2013 CUP that was for the site. They are proposing a total of 20 classrooms within the structure, a computer lab, special education rooms, fitness room, multi-purpose room. And so it's also, I should say it's an increase of three teachers as well. So I'd like to share my screen to show you what the just the location, and just kind of run through just to give you a little more flavor of the site. So it's located at that bend in 15th Street, just southwest of Walmart. And the overall site plan shows the building surrounded by on 3 sides by parking. And of course the submittal does include, the building room plan. Speaking of parking, there is a greater code requirement for parking supply with students that are older, many are of driving age. This is a proposed 9 through 12 building, so we could imagine that at least 3 grades or partial, 2 and partially 3 grades could potentially have driver's licenses. There are 120 stalls. The requirement of 1 space for every 4 students and plus 3 additional spaces for each classroom applies here. And so that adds up, given the student count and the proposed student count and the dedicated classrooms, which are 15 dedicated for students, not specialized classrooms. That's a total of 122 required. North Lakes Academy has submitted, in their narrative that historically 60% of the students are bused. And so that does decrease the demand for those single spaces. And there are parking passes given to students. There's no proposed change in the number of those passes with this CUP. And because also we had a neighborhood meeting for this one, which for this application, which no residents or business owners, nearby business owners attended, and that actually gave us time to discuss the parking situation and just current trends with parking, and where there is just a predominance of students who prefer to take the bus. And Cam also did indicate that the national trend of teenagers delaying getting their driver's license is evident here. And I even see that in my own household. My 18-year-old is not is not driving. Kids these days, you know. But the and so that's not expected to be an issue with the parking. The findings of fact don't. Staff does not find that there is any negative impacts of this proposed increase. You know, with this students and teachers classrooms. With this, I'm sorry, student teachers with this CUP amendment, and the recommendation is for Planning Commission approval of this conditional use permit amendment to increase enrollment to allow for 308 students, 23 teachers, and 20 total classrooms. And with that, I'm happy to take any questions from the Planning Commission. And I do see that there's a typo there, but the actual student population at 308, 23 teachers and 20 classrooms is the CUP request. With that, I'm happy to take any questions from Planning Commission.
Susan?
Donovan, I agree that urban kids who are near bus lines are delaying their getting driving permits, but Forest Lake and surrounding suburban kids, that's really not the place. And having talked to a couple of previous North Lakes students, previously parking has been at a real premium. So if there is a parking issue, and you do say that they are not supposed to be parking on 15th, if there is a parking issue in the future, how does the city plan to deal with that?
I believe that we would have to we have to work with this work with the school to have them rent space to accommodate that parking need. And this is something we have with another charter school expansion. It had issued CUP amendment with the kind of provision that in the future we could come back and collaborate on what's needed to make the site work for them.
Kevin?
Donovan, when a while back when we approved the expansion of the schools, there was a number of neighbors that were involved in the meeting, and their biggest concerns were the side streets and the cars parking on the side streets for events and the increased traffic and things like that. Can you tell us, since we've approved that and now we're looking at increasing some more capacity, have we had many complaints from the neighbors or in terms of not being able to get into their driveways, parking, excessively around the schools? Are you aware of any complaints regarding that have come in since that's been approved?
Are you referring to a different school? I mean,
yeah,
I was referring to Leela School. I have not, but it's been quite. I can't recall. Perhaps Commissioner Batty can inform us of when they actually occupy the building, but it's. With COVID conditions, it's just school patterns have been really disrupted. And so it's not a good, I don't think I have any good data. If I tell you, I can tell you there've been no complaints, but I'm not sure if that's, a condition that we should, understand is really the case.
None that you're aware of anyways. Okay, thank you.
Donovan, as long as we're on the parking, so you're looking for actually, I believe, a waiver of 2 parking spots. We need to make that as one of the changes to actually accommodate the 2 spots. That's question 1. And how many spots do we actually have? You guys, it's discussed that there are 120, but in the Second Amendment, number 13 says 104 with 2 spots removed. So I'm just want to make sure that all of the numbers for parking line up and that we're if we're going to allow 2 short spots, if there are indeed 20, 120, do we have to put a recommendation in for?
That was from the 2013 CUP amendment,
Correct.
conditions. When I talked to North Lakes Academy, they did confirm there's 120 stalls, if I'm correct there. So that's the number I use, for currently, because I know that sometimes, things get restriped and, due to use, things get restriped and changes are made. But I believe 120 is the current number.
So should we add that somewhere in there we're gonna allow 2 less parking spots? Parking's always a big issue, no matter, could be a school, could be a business, it can be an apartment building, it's always a big issue. So I just want to make sure we cover all our bases here.
If it appeases the commission, could I speak to this briefly?
Yes.
That'd be just hearing a couple of the comments and concerns. I just wanted to address that, having been director of the school for the last 6 years and been with the school since we've been on that site, there has not been a single day during the operational day where our parking has come close to being full with the students. I think Susan spoke to speaking with a couple of students that said parking was at a premium. That's just simply never been the case. We have always had open spots for students. This year on a day-to-day basis, the student parking area is probably 30 to 40% full on a busy day. Of course, some of that is just due to the changes right now, but parking on site for the daily operations has never been a concern for us. And the data that we've been tracking the last 5 or 6 years shows again that I'd be hard pressed to anticipate that being an issue for us in the future. If that ever were the case, if we ever got to the point where every student wanted to drive, like, first, thank goodness they'd taken those steps of independence. But second, we would have the ability to limit student parking options with parking passes, much like Forsyth High School does. And so the day-to-day operations, we feel we have plenty of spots available for that. Same with the busing and the bus queue and so on. I think the extra spots from the last amendment to now came when we were able to actually put the striping in. We were able to add some spots on the east side of the site that I don't remember being initially called for. So I think those were additional spots that we were able to gain. So I hope that helps ease some of the concerns there.
Okay, thank you.
While I have you there?
Yeah,
Sure.
absolutely.
May I,
Susan?
Chairman?
Yes.
The previous conditional use said that you would plant trees as possible, and wondering how that tree planting is going.
Yeah, so the effort was certainly made. There is 2 trees in our front, the south side, that we have had to replant a couple times over. One because of that's just where the rainfall has been. It's just killed off the trees, and the other is because of snowplow issues. But the site has as many trees as we can get on there. A couple of them have struggled to grow, but it is something that we absolutely have tried to put in place.
Thank you.
Any other questions of Donovan? Seeing no hands go up, would the applicant like to continue their narrative or add anything to what Donovan covered?
I would just like to reiterate what we did in the last on the last site here, that where these renovations are happening due to the success and demand at NLA's high school, and also maybe just to make a point of clarification that the improvements that we're proposing are to the building only. So it's a complete demolition at the interior of both floors, except for the gym, and it'll be a complete rebuild at the interior. Just to allow for a high school to function properly. So past uses have been a multi-tenant office building, and if you walk through there, I almost got lost when I first walked through there just because of the meandering corridors. So that's very much needed, I think, and I think Cam could attest to that. just to allow them to operate more efficiently and continue doing their great mission of what they do at NLA. So just wanted to make that point clear. And I think Cam has kind of provided the information needed for the parking. So I'll leave that to him to clarify any further. So.
Yeah, and just to briefly piggyback on that, again, thank you for the opportunity to come before you. This is a big deal for us. That building it's old and it has been repurposed several times over. For those of you who have maybe had an opportunity to walk through that building in the last 10 years and see the changes, we put a lot of work into it to make it functional at its current capacity. But if we're looking to grow, and by grow I really mean take on the students that we're now serving in the KA building, it's a necessity for us to make these alterations and just really make the building our own and have it be on par with the beautiful KA campus, and the students deserve that. So that's really what we're seeking here is the ability to make this building really truly our own. It's served multiple tenants through the years, and I think we've done a great job getting it to its current spot, but the ability to just own this and have it be our space is something that we just are really, really looking forward to and hopeful to complete.
And maybe a point of clarification too, that one of the biggest changes is we're moving the front entry to the building from the south side to the east side to face the street, 15th Street. And we're also looking, the primary move, the reason for that move is just to help with site access and security. So security and access to schools is obviously an important thing. And just to have a proper kind of sequence and entry into the building and have a proper airlock to properly sign in students without having them have direct access into the school. So that was a big thing that we looked at when we were looking at the renovation. So just wanted to point that out as well.
Any additional questions of the applicant? Seeing no hands go up, this is a public hearing. Just like the last one, it'll run the same way. We will open a public hearing. We will ask anyone who wishes to speak to this issue, state your name and address for the record. Spend a couple of minutes giving your thoughts on this project application. Again, we tend to listen during this and not comment. We're just looking for your input on this. Once we've heard from everyone, we will close the public hearing and it'll come back for a decision by the Planning Commission. So with that, I will formally open the public hearing. Karen, do we have anyone looking to comment?
I have no one on my end.
Donovan, do you have anyone? You're in City Hall?
No one is here at City Hall to speak.
Wait a few seconds to see if someone comes. I really wish I had the Jeopardy music about now and we would all be good. Karen, I'll ask one more time. Does anyone wish to speak?
I have no one.
Thank you. Donovan, anyone arrive at City Hall?
No, sir.
Hearing and no one wishes to present, we will close the public hearing and bring it back to the Planning Commission for a decision. Commission members, what would you like to do? Well, I'll go ahead. I think it's a good project, so I would make a recommend that we approve the conditional use permit application to increase the total permitted enrollment to 638 students and teachers. Am I the wrong one?
No, you were the right one. It was a typo. I was recycling. It's 308 students. Look at the first line of the conditions.
Oh, all right. So the verbiage will change to 308 students, 23 teachers, and 20 total classrooms. Per the 5 recommendations, I would like to add a 6th recommendation that parking at 120 spots is acceptable versus 122 required, and the 8 findings of fact. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mike, a second? Any discussion on the motion? Any discussion? Hearing none, Karen, would you call the vote, please?
Commissioner Young,
Aye.
Commissioner Batty,
Aye.
Commissioner Miller,
Aye.
Commissioner Keen,
Aye.
Commissioner Brink,
Aye.
and Chair Gerard.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Both your motions have passed tonight. We wish you all the best in your expansion plans. This, they'll correct me if I'm wrong here, Donovan, but the Planning Commission makes the final decision on this unless somebody objects to a decision that we made in informal writing within the next week. Send some to Karen or Donovan. Since we had no participants tonight, I wouldn't expect that to be the case. So I wish you all the best on behalf of the city on your project. Thank you for joining us this evening.
You.
Yeah, thank you very much, folks. And you're all invited to join us next fall when we show off the new space.
We look forward to the invite.
Great, thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right. Moving on, we have hit the exciting other part of the meeting. We'll start with, typically I start with Councilperson Munson, but she is not with us this night. So Donovan, do you have anything for us?
Well, I'll say that we do have an agenda for the April 28th meeting, a business expansion, and hopefully I'll get some more zoning zoning issues to talk about as far as comprehensive rezoning. And with that, I'm happy to take any questions from the Planning Commission.
Commissioners, any questions for Donovan? Donovan, how did the test go at the City Hall for having live and hybrid?
So Dan Undum, just Assistant City Administrator, did do the test. He said there was some operator error, so the test failed. So he should have had me helping him, and I'm sure it would have worked then.
It was a problem with the audio. So when we tested everything, it seemed like it was all working. There was a big problem with the audio. We were getting an extreme amount of feedback. And so Dan brought in, I can't remember the name of the company, brought them back in. They took care of a couple of things. So we're going to be retesting that, I think, next week. I'm not sure when Dan has that lined up, but we're going to be retesting it coming up. First test, fail.
Well, as long as you're commenting, Karen, anything from you to add?
I don't have anything other than that.
All right, as they say, we'll go around the room then. Dennis?
Nope. I'm
Kevin?
good.
I don't have anything other than, I apologize. I guess I was confused. I was thinking of another school, Donovan, so thank you for correcting me.
Mike?
Nothing.
Justin?
Nothing.
Susan?
I did have a local business reach out to me for some thoughts on a expansion that they wanted, and basically I can't tell you anything you need to work through, Donovan.
All righty. And I have nothing to add. So based on that, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
Motion by Mike, a second by Kevin, non-debatable. So Karen, would you take the roll, please?
Commissioner Young,
Aye.
Commissioner Batty,
Aye.
Commissioner Miller,
Aye.
Commissioner Keen,
Aye.
Commissioner Brink,
Aye.
and Chair Gerard.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you all for participating tonight. Have a great week.